Okay. Good afternoon. I hope you maintain electricity throughout the learning and beyond that as well. Uh, let's find this aria here. We'll get up to. Just checking what we're up to. 88. Okay, share screen. Okay, ain't derech she'en ba akal klokos. There is no derech which doesn't have curves, um, which doesn't have difficulties, doesn't have pitfalls, doesn't have all sorts of stumbling blocks. Black Shane of Yashar. But sometimes you think that the derech is Yashar, even though it's not, which is a very dangerous thing. In other words, everybody thinks that the pasuk Kamash Kasav Mishlei Chafal Beis Derech Ish Yashar Be'enov. Every person's derech is straight in his eyes. There's a famous joke. That's a I don't know if it's so famous, but there's a joke about the word frum, which of course in Yiddish means to be religiously observant, but it's not exactly clear where it comes from. But they say it's an abbreviation that FRUM means far right, U modern. In other words, everybody to the right of me is too far to the right, and everybody to the left of me is too modern, and I'm perfect. I'm in the middle. So everybody looks at themselves and says, "My derech is the right derech, and this is the way to go." And they very often think that something is yashar, straight, even though it actually has stumbling blocks and pitfalls, which you have to be very careful of and might fall into. Because of the desires that a person has, which get involved in a negative way, a person has sometimes to go walk in a crooked way. Because there are potholes, pitfalls in the middle, which are not straight. Mashkasa by Vayika Rabba, like it says in the Medrash, Al Pasuk Yisalecha Meisharim. Some pasuk which says a person walking straight. Somebody walks straight. All forbidden relationships seem to him as if they're straight too. Whereas a person just goes blunges blindly ahead without thinks he's going down a straight road without paying attention to see that there are potentially difficult potential dangers. So he's going to come eventually to commit averus, like Arias even, by thinking, okay, this is on my derech, and my derech is yashar, and it is on my road, and my road is straight. So this must be part of the road and part of what I have to do. So lula kain if shalech me sharim. Uh, uh, the, uh, 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 the uh, if not for the case, you can't go straight. So I'm not sure exactly how that line translates, but it means that you can't go straight. It seems like a double negative. Seems like it's not phrased properly. Maybe there's a typo here. But in any event, you can't go straight because you're gonna then do things which are inappropriate. Mishmein Yasha Mayaseh. No, but the problem is like this. Okay, but if you think your derech is Yasha, what are you going to do? I mean, You have to go out of your way. Maybe when you go out of your way, you're not avoiding a pitfall, but creating a pitfall. Maybe you're going to fall into a hole by the side of the road. So what are you supposed to do? Oh, Tzadok is saying, if it looks straight, it's not necessarily straight. But how am I supposed to decide what to do if the only thing I could do is what looks like it's straight in my eyes? Hazar my talking libo Hashem. Therefore, the pasuk says, Hashem provides content for the heart, puts teichen, content into the heart. In modern English, we probably say he programs the heart. A tochen is also modern Hebrew, I think, for a computer programmer. Misha libo shalem ein Hashem yisbarach mashgeu latoso. Somebody whose heart is complete. In other words, if you actually are doing things Hashem Shamayim completely, only for the sake of heaven, so Kosh Baruch does not cause him to have mistakes in order to trick him. Hashem is not out to get us. So therefore, if a person's heart is in the right place and is sincere, and he's not on autopilot, just doing whatever he decided years ago, and continuing that derech, but he's actually trying to figure out always what Hashem wants, really what Hashem wants, with all of his heart. So then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Eino Ba B'Trunya, he doesn't come to, he doesn't, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't come to prosecute us. He doesn't come to make life difficult for us. Rak Akmiu Shebelev Hu Agorim Tos. It's only the distortion in our hearts which causes us to make a mistake. So the says of Tzadok that Derech Ish Yosha Be'enov, if you're only looking, he doesn't mean that pasuk actually, but he does, yes. He paraphrased the beginning. So if a person only looks with his eyes and doesn't look with his heart, he's got a problem. Because with the eyes, you see things, they look straight, but they're not necessarily straight. You have to look with your heart and see but a heart, not just a regular heart, because it says, you shouldn't deviate and follow your heart, your eyes. Your heart also could be a problem. But if his heart is l'shem shamayim, right? Mishalibo sholem, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him out and assist him, and he won't make a mistake, because only the distortion in his own heart is what caused the mistake. Okay, so I'm not sure the next piece is directly connected. We'll see. He says, Peites, Dorshu Azal B'chulin. Peites. Apostle Homnam Elaim. So the pasuk itself means is he indeed mute? Is he not capable of speaking? But Chazal Dashin the craft of a person in this world. In other words, what a person has to work on. Yasum Atzmuki Elaim. He has to make himself as if he's mute. Perish Loshan Umnus, when it says the language of Umnus, a craft, Dover Godel. A craft is something which not everybody can do. It's a great thing. Which not everybody can do. It requires training. Umnus is a craft which requires special training in order to accomplish. Want to be a craftsman, you have to have training. You have to be an apprentice, you have to train, and then you have to develop an expertise. Vemasu Umnus. So when is it a craft? Only when that's the pasuk there, I think. Only when you speak righteousness. Now to remain silent and only speak when it's righteous to speak. That he says that requires tremendous amount of expertise and craftsmanship. Because it requires you to sometimes to talk and stop in the middle. That to know that till now my speech was righteous and now it's not. I have to insist. Masha Ein Kain Shlo Daber Klal. But he says, you know what's doesn't require so much craft? Not to talk at all. And sometimes it's better not to talk at all. In other words, if you have the craft to know exactly when to speak and when not to speak, what to say and when not to say, that's the greatest thing. But a lot of people can't do that. So for such people, it's better just not to speak. Don't say anything, right? Inami, or else Eitzahu, so there's a suggestion which I have. Advice. When can you, how can you reach this craft? When you speak words of righteousness, and what he means here is we teach a lot, learn, teach, talk a lot of Torah. Because if you learn, teach, talk Torah, so then you're saying words of righteousness, you're training yourself to only speak the right thing. Whereas the Torah heal the tongue. What does it mean to heal the tongue? There in Dvarim Rabbah says Shemati Lashon. It unties the tongue. In other words, a person who doesn't have Torah, so then they should just be quiet. If a person learns, teaches, talks Torah, so then this is a Tzadok. I don't know if this is a definite, secure, guaranteed plan, but you can teach himself that way what to speak and what not to speak. As Torah is marpelashon, both in a way, in a logical way, because if you talk words of wisdom, you become wise, and in a mystical way. As Torah is the mitzvah which is connected with speech, and by doing the mitzvah connected with capacity which a person has, it uplifts that capacity, and therefore speaking words of Torah uplifts a person's speech spiritually and holy. It makes it holy and makes him capable of using it the right way. It permits him to speak everything. In other words, even things which are not Torah, he'll be able to know what to say and what not to say. To the extent, Moshe Kosev, the Sukkah, Aleu, it says that Aleu Leibo, his leaves will not wilt. Afilu Sichas Chulin, even the mundane, the everyday conversation of a person's Talmud Chacham, it says that Tzricha Talmud, you can learn, you have to learn it. Because the fact is that Talmud Chacham uplifts even his regular conversation. That's regular conversation is not just simple conversation, not just simple talk. It actually is significant and supposed to be learned, like Torah. Asher Torah, even all the conversation Torah. It says that which is a fascinating interpretation of Tzadok. Sfarim can read in any language. Sefer Torah can read in any language. So he says here, you know what? It's not the simple pshat. What I'm trying to say here, simple pshat is that you can read the right Sefer Torah in any language, right? But he's saying with someone afilu sichas chulin kasher hu Torah. Even it's what you say in any language, not just in Torah. Even sichas chulin can be a sefer. It's a fascinating idea. There's again. It's not the Pashut Pshat or what Chazal are saying, but Sfarim Nechtem Chol means that any language, any talk of a person's Talmud Chacham can actually become a sefer from which you can learn. Okay, but so I feel it's going to Torah. Even the normal talk of a person, when it's Torah, can have holiness. It's a language in Yerushalmi. Patataya doraisa tabin. Patataya actually translates into English as patter. A patter is like a small talk. And small talk of Torah is good. So normally we understand the pshat to mean in that Gemara that if you talk light Torah, right? You talk about the Torah is heavier stuff, lighter stuff. So the heavier stuff is certainly Torah, but even the lighter stuff, even what seems like it's not significant, if it's words of Torah, it's good. Tzadok is saying differently. Tzadok is saying the pattern of people who are immersed in Torah is good pattern. Not their Torah pattern, but the pattern of those people who are Torah people is good. Okay. So so he continues with his line of thought here. There's an opinion that Sefer Torah cannot be written in any foreign language, just in Greek. That's the only language that's been to write a Sefer Torah is Greek, Hebrew, and Greek. So he says, okay, what about this opinion? How do I interpret that in the framework of the explanation I'm giving here? Umanimar Eli Avonis, Kamashkaza Bizarre Chodesh, in Krivin Orchem Mem Nusa. The Zohar says, in Parshas Yisro, that they are close to the ways of Emunah, Ayin Sham. That the Greek, generally speaking, we understand it because the Greeks have philosophy and had wisdom, and they tried to accomplish good things, although there was a lot of Tuma and a lot of Avodah Zarah. But the Greek philosophers, the Greek sages, were very great, great people, and they really tried hard, and they succeeded to a large extent in accomplishing profound ideas and profound concepts. So therefore, they are close to the ways of Emunah. Obviously, there was a lot of backlash against the Greek philosophy, also in Chazal, also certainly among the Baalei Machshava, the Jewish thinkers, and it's not a simple thing to say, that Greek is good, but they're close, right? Ayin Sham Mizeh Zochel Lashon, and from this they were zocher to have. I think he means a language, which is an elegant language, a beautiful language, because they're so and Greek was considered to be a very uh, beautiful language by Chazal, and I think because their ideas were very refined and high ideas, except for their language was considered also to have refinement and significance. The in Baba Kama, it distinguishes there between language and chachma. It says Greek language you can learn chachmas yibanis, and it's not clear what chachmas yibanis means there, because chachmas yibanis normally seems to be a good thing, that they're wise people. Evidently, there was either a specific form of wisdom, or according to Pashup Shana Gemara, it was a specific code language which Greeks used when they wanted to tell each other things and nobody else could understand. That Chazal banned. They said you can't learn Chachmas Yibanis, you teach Chachmas Yibanis, because it was used in order for negative purposes. So I'm not sure to which Chachmas interpretation Chachmas Yibanis Reb Tzadok is referring to here. I think is referring not just to that code language, which is what the one shouting one, but he's saying also, no, their Chachma is not good, because although they tried and were close to Emunah, but they didn't quite reach it. But their Lashon is a good Lashon because it expresses their quest to accomplish good knowledge, good wisdom. It's a fascinating thing. In other words, according to Reb Tzadok, the fact that they had good desire and good drive and was close to Emunah gave them a language which is good and which is pleasing and which is elegant. The fact that they didn't accomplish actual chachma for the most part, that they missed the boat on many things, that means don't study their wisdom. Yes, use the language, don't study the wisdom. I think that's what Reb Tzadok means, because I don't think Reb Tzadok was a proponent of actually learning philosophy and Greek wisdom. So therefore, I think that's why he's making that distinction. Others would say, like I said before, not Reb Tzadok, but others would say that you shouldn't study that specific secret language, which they use in order to do all sorts of bad things. But you can even learn Greek wisdom, because, of course, the Rambam used Greek wisdom extensively in Maravuchim and even in Mishnah Torah. Nevertheless, it says, and the world went dark on the day they translated the Torah into Greek. And one of the reasons for the past of Asar B'Teves, past the 10th day of Teves, is because that day, I think it was actually the 8th day of Teves, but they put it to pass together with the 10th day of Teves because the other things that went wrong. So I think that the idea was, because I know the idea was, I think it's on the 8th day of Teves, and they made Asar B'Teves because of the Torah being translated into Greek, and that completed on that day. So Vishinu Yigim Dvarim, and they had to change 13 things when they translated Torah into Greek. For example, the most famous thing is that they had to change Breshis Bara Elokim, which sounds like in the beginning God created God, right? It sounds like there was a God named in the beginning which created God. Breshis Bara Elokim, to change Elokim Bara Breshis, that God created in the beginning. So that's right after bat. And we explained elsewhere these 13 differences. Why? Sham B'Yarno, they were explaining, came Zel Umazeh, they are corresponding, opposite Neged Torah Sheba'al Peh. The Greeks had a status of Torah Sheba'al Peh. In other words, Torah Sheba'al was not supposed to be translated to Greek, or at least it wasn't properly translated to Greek, and therefore Chazal made a fast day when the day was translated to Greek, because Greek is kind of like Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's a tool to understand things, but not a way to write things down. Even though it's a beautiful language and it's a good language to use in order to understand things, not to write things down, because writing things down only Hebrew. Things that have to be written down, that they write down precisely the way they were given, Hebrew. But Torah Sheba'al Peh, yes. Torah Sheba'al Peh and Greek are correspond to each other. That therefore their mouths spoke lofty things because they were corresponding to Torah Sheba'al Peh. And that's a Sfarim are written in that language, not Torah Sheba'al, but other Sfarim. Even though, right, when it says Sfarim Dichtovim B'Shanim, it means you can write the same Torah in Greek. But Tzadok is saying that yes, but there's a flaw, and that's why there was a fast day. And they was translated in Greek. So even though yes, it could be written in Greek, but no, we don't like the fact it was written in Greek. And yes, we like the Greek language for discussion of Torah concepts, even the Torah concepts, certainly of other concepts of Chachma. But no, don't study their Chachma. So there's this contradiction, this paradox. But it makes sense because we're saying that the language of seeking wisdom is a great language. The wisdom they accomplished it was not completely good, and the language of Torah Sheba'al should not be tampered with, even though, technically speaking, it was permitted to write the Torah Greek because its language is so close to Hebrew in terms of its qualities. Okay, a lot of paradoxes here. And then he says, so Tzadok is coming down squarely, like we said before, on the side that the Chachma of the Greeks, you shouldn't learn. And again, they're not the code language. He's not referring to the code language. He's referring to the Chachma Mamish. So he's saying that there is a, it's interesting that it comes back to the beginning of this piece in that there's a certain way a person has to know where to begin and where to end. And a person can use the language, but only use the language in a certain way which is advisable, not the way that's inadvisable. So a person has to be careful. A person, and today it's true, I think, about any foreign language in general. We use foreign languages in order to understand Torah concepts. And very often people use foreign languages for terminology, for ways of expressing ourselves, which we don't have necessarily in Hebrew. A lot of words have crept into Hebrew over time from other languages. So, but they have to make sure to know what to use and what not to use. And that's just true, not just in learning, but all areas. The person has to make sure to try and understand what's good to use, what's not good to use. And it's a very difficult process. And Tzadok says, before you say, it's easier and perhaps better just to desist from using anything which is dangerous. But we can't really live that way. So therefore, we have to try and develop the skills of using what's appropriate and not using what's not appropriate. Okay, that's it for today. Let's go ahead. Let me stop recording for a minute.